Glad to have you on our show.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
The part of what is trending right now is the appointments that the president is making. I mean, we had the ministers, now we're having sectoral appointments. Recently, we had a new CBN governor, and we also had a new helmsman at the FIRS.
Exactly.
And that's our concern today. You know, taxation is what a lot of Nigerians are not comfortable with. And all over the world, people are not comfortable with taxation. We'll come to that. But how would you see this new appointment at the FIRS? What would you suggest that the new helmsman should be prioritizing at this time in terms of taxation and what that organization can do to the economy?
Okay, thank you very much. In the first place, appointment of this nature is exclusive power of the federal government, rested on the president of Nigeria. The president of Nigeria, according to the Nigeria Constitution, has so much enormous powers that is at his whims and caprices should appoint whoever is going to be the CBN chairman or CBN governor, the FIRS chairman, and all that. I'm sure these appointments are in line with our regulations. Like the man that has been appointed as the new chairman of FIRS or the acting chairman of FIRS is a member, he's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. He's also a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. So in terms of professional qualification, he's qualified to be there. I don't know much about his practical experience when it comes to tax management in the country. But in terms of professional qualification, he's there. So we expected that the president would do this appointment because he cannot run his administration without the people he trusts, without the people he feels that they are competent to hold positions for him. As you can know, the president is saying that we don't have a good tax system in the country. He set up a committee to reform the Nigerian tax system. He's also accusing that CBN is not living up to expectation. He needed people that will bring the desired reforms, especially in stabilizing the naira and also in our monetary policy. I'm sure that's the reason why he's doing this appointment. He's not comfortable with those that are there before. He believed that he needs to change the leadership of these institutions so as to work in line with his aspirations and his promises he had made for Nigerians. And that is it. And it's expected that positions of this nature will witness new appointments.
So what are you suggesting the new taxman should do? How should he move at this time? Let me, the man that was there before, as part of his exit, said by June he had brought in 8 trillion
Yep.
and was targeting to bring in 13 trillion by the end of the year. What should the new man be doing?
Yeah, I want to say, before I go into what the new man should be doing, I want to say that taxation stands on a tripod: tax policy, tax laws, and tax administration. The tax policy drives the tax laws, and the tax laws drives the tax administration. These are the tripods of taxation globally. Let me give you an example. If our tax policy say that we should concentrate more on indirect taxes, that is withholding tax, VAT, you see that, and reduce concentration on direct taxes, you see us making laws of increasing the VAT rate from 5% to 7.5%. You see us making laws exempting small companies from paying company income tax. You can see how the tax policy is driving into tax laws. And in line with that tax laws, it's that rest for the Federal Revenue Service to implement the laws, that's tax administration. Because tax administration is to be done in line with the provisions of the law. You're not supposed to be FIRS chairman and start doing your own laws. Taxation are product of laws driven by tax policy. So if you understand that, you can now understand what he's there to do. So when he gets there, he's going to look at Nigerian tax policy, look at Nigerian tax laws, and ensure that his administration is tailored towards it. For example, the Nigerian tax laws in the recent amendment that said the FIRS has all the powers to deploy ICT, to deploy technology in tax administration. So he is going to look at it. Has this organization deployed the desired ICT, digital technology solutions in tax administration? He will look at what is on ground. Like his predecessor deployed what we call Tax Pro Max. Tax Pro Max has been helping us in filing tax returns, helping us in generating our tax clearance certificates and all that. But is it enough? Is it efficient? That's what he's going to look at. Is there a need to improve it the more? And that way also is in tax collection. Has he deployed ICT in tax collection? How can ICT help us in tax collection? How can digital solutions help us in tax collection? I'll give you an example. If you get to the United States today, if you check in into a hotel, as you are paying for your hotel room, the VAT is deducted instantly to the revenue authority. The solution deployed by every hotel, every eatery, every supermarket will not allow you to collect government money and keep waiting for anytime you like, you remit, or waiting for them to come and do you VAT verification to know how much you've collected and how much you have remitted. It is instantly. It is spontaneously. As you are paying, the digital solution is taking government money to the government coffers. So I'm sure he's going to look at, is the digital solution deployed by FIRS enough in his tax administration? What do I do to improve on what my predecessor has put in place in order to meet up the target of generating revenue for the government and also save government from borrowing? Remember that the last administration, headed by Buhari, said that the reason why he decided to borrow money is because he don't want to tax Nigerians more. That was his defense. He said he doesn't want to tax Nigerians more, that's why he has to borrow money. But we have departed from that now. The new person say, I'm not going to borrow money again. Rather, I'm going to generate money from taxes to run my administration. So now, if you have been appointed as the chairman of FIRS, you should put their thinking cap. How do I generate money? You are talking about 13 trillion. FIRS can generate 20 trillion. If the right things are put in place, they can generate 30 trillion. Nigeria has the lowest tax to GDP ratio in Africa, not even in the world. The average tax to GDP ratio in Africa is 16%. But Nigeria has 10%. Meaning that Nigeria has not discovered this potential in tax generation and tax revenue. So this is exactly what we expect the new herdsmen in FIRS to do, to review the existing policies of FIRS, to look at our tax laws, tax policies, and also see how to improve on the data. Right now, Nigeria don't have tax data. If you ask the State Internal Revenue Service of 36 states, say, how many people pay tax in the state? They don't know. How many people are supposed to pay tax? They say they don't know. If you ask FIRS, how many companies do we have today that are supposed to pay tax and are not paying tax? They don't know. Because a country gets it right when you have the tax data. When you have the tax data, you have what you call non-filers, stop filers, and the filers. The non-filers are those who are not filing returns. The data is there. The computer will show you. If there are 1 million companies, you see it there. The stop filers are those who have been filing, and they stopped. And the filers are those who have been consistent in filing their returns. Because filing of returns is very, very crucial and pertinent to the revenue authority. So I expect that the man that is there now will look at what is on ground and see how we can improve on it. And at the same time, wait for the committee set up by the president to come up with the tax reforms. Because when the committee must have come out with the tax report, it's also going to guide him on tax administration.
Okay, from what you're saying, even with the laws we have, even with the policy we have, we are not exploiting all the avenues. And that leads me to something that has bothered a lot of Nigerians. Property tax across the country. Is it not part of our tax policies?
Yeah, property tax is part of our tax policy, but Nigeria don't have a clear case of property tax law. What we have in Nigeria is tenement rate.
What's the difference?
It's almost the same. A tenement rate is collected by the local government. In some countries, we call it the municipals. And they collect this rate for the development and service for the local government area. It is tenement rate, that's property tax, is very strong in UK, in Canada, and in the United States. Also, it's being practiced in South Africa. Now, Nigeria, the government don't want to come up with the property tax law. The federal government don't want to come up with the property tax law because it's similar to tenement rate, which the local government has been given responsibility in our constitution. The constitution has given the local government responsibility to collect tenement rate. The question is that how are they collecting this rate? Are they serious in collecting the tenement rate? Because if you come to Nigeria now, for example in Abuja, the local government is not doing anything. The roads are bad. Go to Kubwa, where I'm staying, the roads are bad. Go to Lube, the roads are bad. Are they really collecting this tenement rate? And if they are collecting it, what are they doing with the money? So there's a need to reform to find out what is going on in the area of tenement rate. But when it comes to the other aspect of property tax, which is being managed by federal government, we now bring the capital gain tax. The capital gain tax is a tax you pay on a gain you have made by disposing a property. In Abuja alone, hundreds and thousands of properties are being purchased and sold on daily basis. Are we collecting the capital gain tax? That's a question. And let me just explain it on how it works. If you buy a property 50 million and you decide to sell it tomorrow at 80 million, that means you have made a gain of what? 30 million. The law says you should pay government 10% of the gain you have made. That means from the 30 million, by the time you pay 10%, you are paying government 3 million naira on the gain you have made on that property. So the question is that on these thousands of properties being bought and sold in Abuja, in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, is the government collecting capital gain tax? The answer is practically no. And why is it practically no? Because there's no proper implementation. It's not about having laws and policies. Are you going to put the proper implementation to ensure that this thing works? I normally tell people that if you make a law or policy and you don't implement it, that's good. You don't have any law. If we have a system in place where you have to buy a property in Maitama 1 billion naira, and at the point of exchanging the papers of that property, the CFO, the documents, a government will say, you that is selling this property at 1 billion, can we fee your capital gain tax on this property? How much did you buy this property before selling it 1 billion? And probably you say, I bought it 500 million. You say, now you are selling it 1 billion. You're making a gain of 500 million. 10% of 500 million is 50 million. Go to the government coffers, pay 50 million to the government and bring the receipt before we process your document. The question is that, do we have the political way to do that? Are we ready to do that? Go to FCDA. Properties are being bought and sold. Papers are being exchanged every day. Documents. Is there any property gain, capital gain tax that are collected? It's absolutely no. So until we begin to do the right thing, Nigeria will not discover its potential when it comes to tax revenue.
Okay, let's not just talk about tax. I mean, it's known that all over the world, a lot of people don't like to pay tax. But when you come to a country like Nigeria, ours is also peculiar because a lot of Nigerians complain that they don't see the effect of the tax they pay. Even the little that is being collected by the government. The roads are not good. The hospitals are not working. Electricity is not constant. I mean, just not too long ago. We had the collapse of the national grid. A lot of infrastructure is not available for the people. Where is the morality for government to continue to tax the people?
Yeah,
Is there no coming together of getting these taxes and putting it to good use for the common good?
Yeah, I want to say that a tax is a compulsory levy imposed by the government. The word is compulsory. There is no place in the dictionary or in the constitution that says that if government is not providing goods and services, don't pay tax. There's no place like that. They say tax is a compulsory levy. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Constitution of many countries made it very clear. It's very implicit and explicit. They made it very clear that tax is compulsory. The Constitution said as a good citizen, as a patriotic citizen, you should declare your taxes honestly and pay to the government. It's in the Constitution. Then on the other part, the Constitution says government is responsible for the welfare and security of the citizen. So you can see it's a social contract. The citizen has to pay tax. Then government will use the money for the tax for security and what? Welfare. So if as a citizen we don't pay our tax, which money will government have to provide security and welfare?
No, for instance, the chairman of FIRS says, I've collected 8 trillion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what is government supposed to do with it? I mean, when you were doing your analysis, you said Nigeria is tax to GDP is about the lowest. Fine. If you're using a country like Finland, Sweden, or any of those countries in Europe, whose tax to GDP may be higher, they have medicals. They have social security. They have even security of their lives and property. If somebody steals from you, if somebody robs you, the government would arrest them. In Nigeria, if somebody gets killed, nobody is arrested. So it's easy for us to talk about the other countries and then compare them with Nigeria. Does government have moral justification to be taxing the people and even saying that, oh, we are not collecting enough, if in turn this money is not used for the good of the people?
Okay, I want to say something to educate us more. The Federal Revenue Service said they have collected 8 trillion.
As at June.
Yes, at June. And they are planning to get 13 trillion towards the end of the year. Now, that 8 trillion or 13 trillion is not being shared by federal government alone. That money is shared among the 776 local governments we have in the country, the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT, the federal government. So you can see how many parties are involved. You have 776 local governments sharing from that 8 trillion. You have 36 state governors sharing from the 8 trillion. You have the FCT sharing. Then the federal government also will take their own for their federal government projects. So let us not look at this as the one person that has 8 trillion to share. The money is shared in line with our structure of the federation. Now, the question we should ask is that we should start asking a question from our local government. What is our local government doing with the money collected? What is the state governor doing with his own share? People don't question the local government. People don't question the state. And the bulk of people in this country are living in local government and states, not even the federal government. The bulk of Nigerians are living in local governments and the states. Okay, how many people are in Abuja? If Nigeria is about 200 million population, how many people are in Abuja? Because if you're in Abuja, that's where you feel the federal government presence more than the state. So what we need to do is our people need to wake up and begin to ask for accountability, especially at the state and local government level. Ask your governor, what are you doing for us? Not during the election, they will go and share rice, share Maggi, and people will clap for the governor. It continues. We also need a reform in the local government. Local government need to have their own election conducted by INEC, not the governor. Because the governors conduct this local government election and put their boys there and dash them money. to run the local government and take the local government funds. We know what is going on in the country. The money, that 8 trillion is supposed to go down to the local government for the people at the grassroots to feel the pulse of it. People at the grassroots are suffering erosion. Nobody is coming to their aid. Some of them don't have market. Nobody is coming to their aid. Some of them don't have, so many local governments, so many villages don't have good basic medical care. No basic medical care. No hospital is operating there. Nobody cares about them. So we have to have that orientation. And let me tell you the truth. A country cannot grow beyond the mentality of the people. People have seen government as, let me go and eat, chop and go. And our people have seen it the same way. Local government chairmen, traditional rulers, all over, they go to the state governor. What do? They demand for their personal aggrandizement. Nobody asks for the benefits of the community. So until we have that mind that let us do something for the benefit of the community, it will be very difficult. And on the other part, have people seen paying tax as something that will bring development? The answer is no. Recently, a group of people from the United States, from UK, raised billions of naira to build a church in Nigeria. And I'm sure these people don't have good roads to their villages. What stopped them from contributing that money to build a road to their villages? Bringing hospitals to their villages. If you feel that government, if you pay it as tax to the government will misuse it. We want people to see that countries that pay tax move further than countries that don't pay tax. Go and check it. Countries that pay tax has more development than countries that don't pay tax. The countries that pay tithes, you know, there are two ways. People prefer paying tithes to the church. In Africa, based on our religious practices, they don't want to pay tax. They prefer paying tithes to the pastor. But in the Western world, they prefer paying tax to the government. Countries that pay taxes have more development than countries that pay tithes to the church. We have to change that orientation. I feel what we should do is to pay our tax and ask government for accountability. Not only federal government we should focus, we should look at the local government, we should look at the state before we come to the federal government.
Okay, in looking at the law, is there a way the National Assembly can help to make laws that would make government more responsible and make citizens also more responsible or more responsive to paying taxes? Do they have a role to play in this whole equation?
Yeah, the laws are there. It's just about implementation. But what I want to say is this. In order to make sure that the local government are accountable to the people, we need the National Assembly need to put a pressure to ensure that the local government are taken away from the governors. As we speak, the governors are sitting on top of local government. We need to have a law where INEC will conduct election for the local government. The local government will be on its own. It won't be under the governor's control. The resources comes to him. When they share this 8 trillion, he gets his own direct. Some local government get 200 million every month. Some get 300 million every month. Some 150 million every month. Every month, that 100, 200, 300 million comes to the local government. And they're not doing anything with it. The governor is keeping that money. So the National Assembly have to move quick. Last time they tried to amend it and tried to do that, but they said that the 36 states House of Assembly has to support it. And many of the 36 state assembly refused because governor told them not to support it. Because they don't want accountability. If my local government is getting 200 million every month, in a whole year, what have they done with the 200 million? That's where so we need to have that law that will bring transparency and accountability at the local government level, then state. Then on the part of the citizens about paying tax, we need to also have institutional impediment that will force you to pay your tax, even when you don't pay, you don't pay. For example, you want to put your child in a public school. They will ask you to bring tax clearance certificate. You want to go for international passport. They should ask you to bring tax clearance certificate. You want to fix your vehicle, maybe for vehicle license or driving license. The VA or road safety will say, bring your tax clearance certificate. You want to buy a land, bring your tax clearance certificate. You want your child to get admission in a unity school, in federal school, bring your tax clearance certificate. So these institutional mechanisms will definitely force people, because if you don't bring it, you are not going to get what you want. So when you bring this institutional mechanism, definitely you have to jam one of them. And when you jam one of them, you have no option than to do what? To go and pay your tax. And that is how it's done in some climes, because there is institutional mechanism combating tax evasion and other form of tax defaulting incidences.
To the new man at the FIRS, you've talked about technology. Probably we need to improve our tax systems technologically. Yeah. What else can he do?
Yeah, the man that just left, Nami, he did very well. In my own assessment, he did very well. He was able to implement the Tax Pro Max, which has aided our tax processes. I'll tell you here, if I returns here online, and I'll tell my secretary here, he will generate tax clearance certificate online for our client. He will just apply and it comes, except the company has an issue. You now go to FIRS and complain about the issue. We have never seen such for my 18 years of practice as a tax practitioner, tax consultant. So Nami did very well. I'll give it to him. Now, this man came in, he need to review the processes, because that tax program still have some of the challenges. And one of the challenges is that you cannot pay, if not Naira. Our tax law says that if you earn in foreign currency, you pay tax in foreign currency. Well, right now, the tax program doesn't recognize foreign currencies. You only pay in Naira. So you need to do an update to make sure that those who earn foreign currencies pays in foreign currencies. There's also challenges in the tax programs I expect him to, improve upon. But more importantly, he should find a way to deploy technology in tax collection. Deploying technology in tax collection will help to close up leakages. Because you can imagine people are crying of multiple taxation in Nigeria, yet we are having low tax to GDP ratio. Something is wrong. On the other part, we are crying for multiple taxation. And on the other part, our tax to GDP ratio is low. That means there's a leakage. There are leakages. So he can deploy technology to close these leakages, and that will increase the tax revenue.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.